Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine.
MotorWeek is made possible by Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper and TireRack.com.
Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Welcome to our MotorWeek podcast. I am indeed your host, John Davis, and it's time to bring back another MotorWeek alumni to help us celebrate our 45th anniversary. And with that, we're also recording a video version of this podcast today, so you can enjoy it audio only as per usual, or add the video to the audio of this podcast at the MotorWeek YouTube channel. Now, you won't have to dig very far into your memory for today's special guest, as she served as our FYI reporter and then Motor News reporter from 2015 up until 2022. She's also no stranger to our podcast, but it's been a while since we had her on. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren Morrison. Welcome, Lauren.
Hey, John, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited.
Oh, we are absolutely delighted to have you with us. It has been way too long. And you're joining us from your home in Florida, right? Enjoying all that beautiful sunshine?
Yes, sunny and 75.
Oh, it's pretty cold winter day here, so make us all jealous. Hey, let's get right into it. You started with MotorWeek in 2015. But you were a very experienced TV reporter when you came to us. Give us a little idea of your background before you ended up here in Owings Mills, Maryland.
Yeah, so I guess when I first graduated college, I went to Maine, and I was a news anchor in Maine
you went from Florida to Maine.
Florida to Maine, right? So, and it was so snowy for a Florida girl. I don't know, maybe I'd seen a few flakes, visiting family and friends in Georgia. Going to Maine, I don't know what I expected, but so much snow, so cold. I did a few winters there, and I was like, I got to get back south. From Maine, I went and I lived in Huntsville, Alabama for a couple of years, way warmer, have family there. And I was a TV reporter there, a morning news anchor there. So it was a lot of crazy hours, both in Maine and in Alabama. And then my now husband at the time was living in Baltimore. He was going to school in Baltimore. And I thought, I'm just going to move up there. I think I love storytelling. I love video. I love all the aspects of that, but I don't know if news is for me. And a posting came up at Maryland Public Television. And I remember when you asked me to do this podcast, I started thinking about the whole, my whole journey. And I remember the posting was very vague. It didn't say MotorWeek. And so I was like, I think I really enjoy working for public television. It might be a little slower paced. I remember going in for the interview and realizing that I was interviewing for a position at MotorWeek, and getting out of the interview and calling my dad and being like, if I don't get this job, I think I'm going to cry. Like, this sounds like the coolest opportunity. I didn't know they want to pay me to do this. I couldn't believe it. And then I got the call that I got the job, and it was just the ride of my life. I loved every minute of it.
I remember looking at your reel, your sample reel, and being with Brian Roberts, and we were in his office or mine, I don't recall which. And when your reel came up, we all looked and said, wow, she's the one. You had the camera poise. We saw your clips of how well you interacted with, men and women on the street. And we knew that since we wanted you to be able to have viewers live vicariously through you, you had such a great personality. The camera loved what it saw and loved how you acted with perfect strangers to make them feel totally comfortable. And I'm wondering, did you get any training in that, or was that just something you picked up by doing it?
I think I've always been really excited just to try new things. And you brought up a good point, living vicariously, through the camera. I think that's what I've always tried to do. I want somebody who maybe financially, a lot of the stuff that we do, you can't do. Or just, somebody can't get to a location that I'm going to. I want somebody to be able to watch my video, watch whatever I'm doing and being like, wow, that was the next best thing to being there. And I think I've always loved like new, exciting opportunities like that I'll probably never get to do again. So I think I've always had that sense of adventure. And I think anybody who works at MotorWeek definitely has to have that sense of adventure.
Well, speaking of that, when you came on with MotorWeek, it was a totally different style and different schedule from what you'd been doing. Instead of being a daily reporter, you often had weeks to prepare a segment. Did that change how you actually produced and did your segments? Did you have to reformulate your mind and say, this is a totally different type of television?
For sure. Because even when I was working in news, a lot of times you were your own camera person. Yeah. So I wasn't able to do a lot of stand-ups or like interact in front of the camera a lot. Or like if I was, driving a car, I would have to describe it. I couldn't really get video of me driving a car. So once I got to MotorWeek, and also it's more of a long-term format. So my pieces could be 4 minutes long, whereas in news, maybe I had 90 seconds. So I felt like I could explain things more. I could just dive deeper into it. And, it helps so much working with a producer, working with a videographer. I think your product is so much better. And I just learned way more having a team around me like MotorWeek.
Well, I know it really helped that you had so much experience. I pretty much remember cutting you loose right away. You suggest topics for some of the segments. And once that was decided, it was like, Lauren's under control and let's see what the final product is. And it's rare from a producer standpoint that you get to do that. But, did you ever feel, I guess, that you didn't get enough direction from us? I'm kind of curious.
No, I think I'm a very type A person. So I'm like, this is what I like. I need my checklist. I need my punch list. I know what to do there. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's my personality though, too. And you guys, if I ever needed anything, I could come and be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think? I liked the fact that I would, we turn in at the beginning of a season. Hey, these are the ideas I'm thinking about for my segments. Everybody would chime in, give their thoughts. Like, I think this would be great. Oh, I have like a person that you could interview for this, yada, yada, yada. But no, I loved the, hey, go for it. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen? Get out there and do it. I loved the free reign. I definitely didn't feel like I needed any direction.
For those that are listening to this and viewing this podcast that may not be familiar with our show, the FYI segments are very broadly based. Obviously, they're car-oriented, but they can be very consumer-oriented. They can also take a look at some of the lighter subjects that we cover. When you came with us, you mentioned your father, I guess, knew MotorWeek.
Oh, yes.
But would we say you were a car person? Because that was not one of the requirements, as I recall.
No, like you said, my dad was a car person. He's a Corvette guy. So I was always around them. Good. And I, could point them out on the road. Yeah. I could talk about them, but could I get under the hood? No, probably not. And so I think definitely working in this industry opened my eyes to a whole bunch of stuff that I would have never been exposed to beforehand. So I wouldn't say I was a gearhead before I started. No.
Are you now?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right answer.
It stays with you. We were talking before. It stays with you. Like once you get a hit, like that's it. You're hooked. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of your adventures. Off the top of your head, give us some of your best memories of some of the best segments that you did, and maybe even some of the ones that you sort of thought, well, it wasn't quite my shining star.
So, I'm a mom now. That's why I left MotorWeek, and I drive a Honda Odyssey. I'm in the car loop line. I'm, slow going in the school zones, and people are throwing Cheerios at my head, and I'm just like, I think about the Porsche Experience Center that I went to in Atlanta all the time when I got to like drift and get on their kick pad, and drive just amazing cars. And I'm just like, if these kids knew who I used to be. So I think that the Porsche Experience Center for me is one that I think about all the time. And just a lot of people are never going to be able to drive these cars. And then I got to drive them to the capacity that they're meant to be driven. That was a really, really fun one. I think of just a lot of times, we get to go, manufacturers have us out for reveals and stuff. I think about the Land Rover Discovery. We went out west, and that was like a global launch. So it was like a new vehicle. I think it was like in 2017. And we drove, like 500 miles a day. It was a long drive, and we drove over all the terrain. That was a very, very cool drive, because a lot of times, you might go on these drive events and you get to, putz around the city or whatever. But that drive, you were able to test out like every capability. We were like mountain climbing. We were in the sand. We were everywhere, testing out every capability of that Discovery. So I think that was a really fun drive. I'm trying to think of something that wasn't that I didn't love. I loved all the stories. Some of them just weren't as exciting, but they were more consumer related, right. Which is always nice and always informative for me too. I remember going to the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. Mm-hmm. That amazing work that they do there, and doing like a headlight test at night, which, might seem not as exciting, but I found it very informative, very, very cool. Once the piece was all put together, I was like, how exciting is this video going to be? But we work with such amazing videographers. Like, I could tell them the vision, tell them what I wanted, and somehow they would get this shot, make it come to life. And I'd be like, this piece that I didn't think was going to be that great was amazing.
Oh, that's great. It is a team effort. Sometimes the person in front of the camera, like you and like me, gets all the credit, and really, from the viewers. Yeah. But it takes, I hate to use the term, but it takes a village. It takes a lot of people behind the scenes to make us look good.
It really does. Yeah. It really does. Sound good, look good. You couldn't do it yourself.
No. You did a lot of traveling with us. Tell us a little about that. Was that stressful for you, or did you just enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. And when I started and realized how much I was really going to be traveling, I got a map, and I was like, my goal is to visit all 50 states and with MotorWeek. And I think I probably have visited 35. I've been places that I would never go. A really cool drive was, I think we were in South Dakota. And, I don't know, maybe South Dakota was never on my map that I was going to go to. And I went out there and I was like, I would come back here. Idaho, I loved. We did a drive. I think we did a Clean Cities in Idaho. And that was beautiful, beautiful country. So I loved traveling. I loved, waking up in a new place, meeting new people, the people in the industry as a whole, so welcoming. I think I was nervous going into MotorWeek because it is a male-dominated industry. I think I was nervous. I was a young female. But everybody, I never once got any kind of remark, anything negative. Everybody was so welcoming. If I looked like I didn't know what I was doing and I looked like I needed help, people were jumping in to help, very, very welcoming. And I think that was another part. I just loved meeting new people, and altogether amazing.
Well, I know when you left us, all your fans out there, for MotorWeek fans, basically let us know how much they were going to miss you. And we got lucky because when your husband graduated and you guys moved back to Florida, we had a chance to keep you on virtually doing our motor news segments. And that was the first time we had ever done anything like that. So tell us a little bit about what that experience was. How was your house set up? I know we sent someone down to help you set up lighting and everything. Was that kind of surreal for you?
I never thought, when I left MotorWeek, I was like, this is it, I'm riding off into the sunset. And when you guys called me and asked me to do this, it was amazing, amazing, amazing. So you guys sent down, and this was before COVID. So MotorWeek was ahead of the curve, I feel like, in the whole work from home. you guys sent down a production. Yeah, Tracy. Tracy came down, like set up a green screen and showed me how to set it up so I could take it up and down. So I didn't just perpetually have a green screen in my house. She showed me how to do the lighting. We put like markers on my floor to like put the lights here, you stand here, put the camera here, and amazing, a crazy experience. It was for a mom working from home. It was amazing. I would put the baby down for a nap or put her down for bed. I would write my segments. I would produce them in front of produce them in front of the green screen, be able to just send it, get an internet connection, send it to you guys. You would edit it over there, send me, how does this look? It's just crazy to me, like technology, even MotorWeek's 45 years old, like to see, I'm sure for you, the technology, how we can go on, we could like go on a shoot. I could send stuff back to the studio before we even flew back. Like editors could be editing it. It was, so working from home, that was a really cool experience. And then COVID happened and, you guys were out of the studio and I had the studio here. So I feel like I ended up doing a lot more motor news. I think I was doing it weekly at that point because we were just trying to get content up on our YouTube.
It was a lifesaver during COVID for us. I mean, we were, most people don't realize that we were in hiatus, of course, initially, but we were the first national television series that got back on the air with new episodes. Yeah. And I'm very proud of that. But part of that was because you were so flexible and could provide us content from down there. So.
Like I said, we were ahead of the curve. We were on it.
Well, you got to stay ahead of the curve to keep from getting run over. Before we wrap this up, are there any other memories you've got that, you want to share with the podcast fans? What do you miss most?
I'm going to make me cry. I miss you guys. I miss the team. I think a lot of people take for granted working in an awesome work environment. And there is not one person that I encountered at MPT or MotorWeek in general that I ever had a complaint with. A lot of people, I'd go on all these events, John, everybody asked me about you, asked me, is he really like that in real life? And I was like, yes, what you see is what you get. John is the most gracious boss. Don't meet your heroes, they say. Yes, meet John Davis. Amazing, amazing, amazing to work for. You rally your team. And I think that's a testament why we've been on the air for 45 years is having a leader like you. And just creating an office environment. That's why people stay. Honestly, if I wasn't having all these kids over here, I would be back at MotorWeek in a heartbeat. Like it is the people. The people is what I miss. I miss everybody that I worked with. I love it.
Well, thank you very much. That I'm the one that's blushing now, but I want to remind you that you have at least 15 states you haven't visited.
I know. So, I might have to make a return.
Absolutely. Once the kids are grown and, are basically in school or whatever, knock on our door. You never know what we've got up our sleeve. And
I know.
And we don't want to lose contact with you.
No, I never. And that's another thing. I've been off the air for a couple of years now. You guys check in all the time. Like you just making sure, seeing how I'm doing. Like, I think that is just a testament to how great you guys are. It's not just, you work here and you're gone. You're part of the family for life. And that's, I feel that.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Hey, Lauren, thanks very much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure, as always, to have you on, but especially on our 45th anniversary season. Gee, just take care of yourself and don't get too sunburned down there in Florida.
All right. Thanks, John. It's great talking to you guys.
You bet. See you soon. Okay, everybody, I'd like to thank our sponsors before we wrap up this podcast. And they're sponsors of both the podcast and, of course, our series MotorWeek, Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, and also TireRack.com. We know our viewers and listeners appreciate all of your dedication to MotorWeek. And if you're wondering what time you can watch MotorWeek on your local public television station, go to our website, motorweek.org, click on the tab Watch MotorWeek, then enter your zip code for the days and times in your area. Also, I want to remind everybody that is listening and watching today that all of our MotorWeek content, our videos, everything is available on our MotorWeek app. It's available at your favorite app store. It's a free download, so take it with you and never miss a mile of MotorWeek. Our thanks today to podcast producer Jessica Ray, audio engineer Nicole Phillips-Naylor, podcast creator Bob Mixter. Remember, for the fastest way to find new car reviews, be sure to include MotorWeek in your search engine. I'm John Davis. Thanks for being a part of MotorWeek.
You've been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper and TireRack.com. Visit our website at motorweek.org for more car reviews and the latest automotive news. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series, each week on your local PBS station or the MotorWeek app.